Hi there! Welcome back to my channel. I'm really pleased with some of the comments in the last two videos. I seem to have resonated with some people, even though it's quite awkward at times not censoring myself and not editing out every single little word I trip over. The authenticity is the most important thing for me, so I'm really glad that people see that and relate to that. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I've been doing, loose script, and just speaking how the way things come naturally to me. So today I'm going to speak about my experience of driving. Yeah, so for those of you who are new, who've not seen my videos before, I'm Ailey. I'm 27 and I was diagnosed as autistic just over a year ago. So I learned to drive when I was 17. I passed just after I turned 18, so it took me just over a year to learn. So this was like 10 years ago now, I was learning. I think at the time, because I was in the middle of studying for some really important exams that would determine what university course and stuff I got into, and just due to being 17 and all the social things going on along with that, it was quite a stressful time in my life, and I did not enjoy learning to drive. In fact, I would go far to say I hated it. I was so stressed. I was so anxious. I had quite physical symptoms of anxiety, so I would literally feel sick before every lesson or every practice. I would go off my food. I would have stomach upsets. Couldn't sleep. It was terrible. I did it. I think when I passed, to be honest, in hindsight, I don't think I was quite ready. I think I could have done with a few more lessons, just with different types of driving as well, because every single like new situation, because of how I process information, I'm not always able to apply what I've learned before. So it's like I have to almost treat it as a separate thing. So yeah, so like driving into even like different, even similar conditions, but just like different roads, because they've all got different like corners and blind spots and things like that. Yeah, so I found it really, really difficult. So various reasons for that. I have not great spatial awareness. So I tend to err on the side of extreme caution when it comes to sort of manoeuvring or like parking. So it took me a really long time just to get the hang of that kind of thing. I also struggle a bit with just the speed of having to process all the information. I'm better at it now, obviously, because I've been doing it for a while now. But yeah, as I learned, it was just so bad, and also having to learn how to operate the car as well. So in the UK, almost everyone drives manual transmission, or stick shift in America, you might know it as. There are a few more automatic cars now. I know people who've passed like they're driving, they only drive automatics, they've passed their test in that. But most people still drive manual. So it's quite tricky getting the hang of the clutch and the gears and things like that. So yeah, and then there's also like the kind of, and so I'm very literal in terms of rules and following the highway code. But then there's lots of sort of unwritten kind of social rules. So for example, lots of people will flash their headlights to let you out of a junction if it's really busy and you're trying to turn right against traffic. Well, because I'm in the UK, we drive on the left. So you're not supposed to do that. Or yeah, like sometimes so people putting their hazards on, like for like as an apology. Some people do if they realise they've cut out in front of you. I still have to sometimes with my mum or my dad in the car, I have to ask them like, why is that person doing that? And there's also like regional variation. So where I am, it's a more rural area, and people tend to be much more kind of courteous than maybe in bigger cities. And there's certain junctions that people let each other, all the locals kind of let each other out of, and yeah, it's not at all in the highway code, but yeah, things like that complicate it for me as well. Yeah, any kind of like new situation causes a lot of stress for me. I get used to it, but even if I was to go to a new a route I know but at a different time, I'd be thinking, oh, what's the traffic going to be like, you know? Yeah, so it's fine. I have a very functional relationship with driving. Where I am, if you don't drive, you are at a huge disadvantage. There is public transport, but it's not reliable. Especially if you are needing to go things for a certain time. It's pretty much it's not great. You would think lots of people end up missing the bus if the bus doesn't turn up. They have to get lifts through to the nearest big town and stuff. So yeah, not driving would put me at a huge disadvantage. And it would mean I wouldn't be able to do my job the way I'm doing it just now. So it's a kind of functional relationship. Get to from A to B as safely as possible. But for a long time, I really struggled with my relationship with driving, about the way it kind of made me feel. Because I remember when I was 17, other people were learning to drive like quite quickly. So they were starting to learn after I had, and then passing quite a bit before I did, and just almost guilty as well, thinking why am I finding this so hard? All these other people managed to do it, and then they pass, and it's this massive like freedom, and whereas I just kind of I drove if I had to, or if I had a lot of moral support, but it wasn't a fun experience for me at all. And then for what I don't think helped was that I passed my test sort of my last year at school, about halfway through. So then 6 months late, or maybe 8 months later, I had to move away for university, and I was in a really big city. There was no reason for me to drive down there. I could have if I wanted, but it would have been an extra complication I had no desire to anyway. So I went months at a time without driving. So then when I came back, it was kind of like not starting from scratch, but it took a little bit to get back into it. So the only time for about 4 years where I drove consistently was in the summer, but at that 90% of it was just to where I was working and back again. So it was the same route twice a day at the same times as well. So that's quite important, because sometimes I would go a slightly different direction during the week than I would at the weekend, because of like to account for traffic and certain junctions I didn't like and things like that. So sameness helps me a lot, but yeah, I largely avoided it as much as I possibly could. So the driving, it really bothered me for a long time. And about 2 years ago, I decided I needed to really do something about it, because it was stopping me from doing things that I wanted to do. So there is a few things that I did to kind of help, and it really has. So there's a huge difference in my confidence from now to like this time 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago actually. So it has worked. It has definitely gotten better. It's not, I would say I'm still not like, zipping up and down motorways with not a care in the world. It's not like that, but I can certainly do the things I need to do. And another thing I've realised is that this is much more common than people may think. I think a lot of people are quite ashamed of it, because just like social sort of expectations. So I hope my story kind of might help someone to feel a bit less kind of alone in that, and like there is hope for them, that there is things they can do to help. So the first thing, you aren't going to like this, is you have to drive. Yeah, so yeah, even if it sucks and you hate it, the only way to get over that sort of avoidance thing, because what happens if you get into this sort of feedback loop is where if you avoid the thing, that then alleviates the anxiety. So then it creates that neural pathway, whereas next time you avoid it, it gets strengthened, and the more you strengthen that, the easier that route becomes. But it never actually, it all it does is it reinforces driving makes me anxious, I don't do it. Or when you do it, it's horrible. And the only way really to overcome that is sort of exposure. You just have to do it as much as you can. Like, even maybe, I know it's not environmentally friendly, but if it means you have to maybe in a day you don't have to drive, and that's actually better. If there's no pressure, you can just go somewhere. It is horrible at first, especially when you start maybe pushing yourself to go into situations you're maybe not as comfortable with. But it only gets better if you keep doing it. So definitely, like, start as small as you need to. That's my second tip. Don't go thinking you straight have to go into the biggest motorway in the country at rush hour. Like, if you get scared, like, even driving down a high street, like, although that is terrifying in its own way. Anyway, just go for like motorway driving things, for me, I think I've done it twice. So where I live, there are no motorways. You have to go about 2 hours south to get to one. So yeah, so it's not even like, as a passenger, I'm not all that used to being in a car on a motorway. So there's no shame in starting just doing routes that you're comfortable with. Yes, I think that's probably what I think when I started doing it more consistently, sort of getting used to going around just more often places, and then okay, that's fine, and then kind of going from there. So I did a bit more kind of night driving, and sometimes I think I went like once or twice in sort of icy and obviously being very careful, and I had someone with me who was very experienced with that, just to sort of build up my tolerance and sort of my trust in my own skills. So that's how you get that positive feedback loop, and over time, it's not an immediate thing. It does take a bit of effort, but yeah, it does become easier. Even if it's just not, if it's never easy, it's better. You're just aiming for improvement, really. My third tip, if you are not the most confident driver and you're trying to get better, is to be mindful about who you have in the car with you when you're driving. Because some people, like for me, for example, if I'm somewhere I'm not really sure where I'm going, I feel much better having someone with me. So either, preferably another like qualified driver, almost as like, just they often don't have to say anything. It's just there as a kind of a reassurance, really. But then other people I know who are nervous drivers, they hate having passengers. So they do much better just in the car on their own. So if you are kind of wanting to sort of make a concentrated effort to improve your confidence, maybe you just need to say no to passengers for a little while, you know. And even if you do like having people in the car with you, it's a good idea to be a bit careful about who. So you want someone who's going to be understanding and supportive, not someone who's going to be criticizing your driving or like panicking. Like, you know, you want someone who's going to keep you nice and calm, and is not going to push you to do things you're not comfortable with or not ready for, or someone who's wants you to speed. So if you're a bit younger, particularly, that might mean that certain friends you should not have in the car with you. A good idea is to set a goal. So driving is a multifaceted thing. There's lots of different types. You've got your long distance, short distance, towns, cities, motorways. You've got backcountry roads, just like housing estates, different types of parking, and maybe help focus yourself if you have something specific in mind that you want to work up to. So for example, if there is a new shopping centre or something, a climbing wall, whatever, that you wanted to go to that was maybe involved as like an out of town place, so it probably involves driving on a motorway or on a dual carriageway or something. And if that's a type of drive that you don't really enjoy, or if it's like at the weekend where you have very busy, at certain times you can have very, very busy traffic, you know, you can expose yourself to different types of those roads. So maybe start first of all at night to just get used, or at a quiet time to get used to the route, and then build up to the time, maybe going up to the first roundabout, then the next roundabout, and then yeah, just building it up that way. It's quite a good thing to do. Make sure you celebrate the victories that you do have, and recognise that your skills you do have, because if you are a qualified driver, at some point you have shown that you had the skills. So as long as you are just you know you're a safe driver, you have the skills, you have the experience, and the only thing stopping you from maybe doing the things you want to is because of your anxiety, then if you just keep practicing, you will get better. However, there are some maybe exceptions to that. So if you have like a really specific thing, so or if you've had an accident or something, you might benefit from maybe refresher lessons from a qualified instructor rather than just going out and doing it yourself. So if you have like a gap in your skills, that might be the best way to go. This is probably what I would do if I had to move to a new place, or if I suddenly was in a situation where I had to do a lot more like city centre rush hour driving, because if I tried that just now, it would be horrible. So I would definitely like want to brush up those particular skills if I was going to do a lot of that type. And also, if you've got any physical or mental health conditions that are maybe at the root of the difficulties with driving, and it probably has effects in other areas of your life as well, there's no shame in giving up driving temporarily until that problem's resolved, or maybe it's not something that's going to go away and you have to give it up permanently. So sometimes it sucks, but that just might be the correct decision. You know, it's not for you. Some people just can't do it. Like some people can't do maths. Some people, no matter how they try, they never learn to read or write very well. It's just one of those things. I know for me, the minute I can get a affordable and reliable, not mention any companies in particular, a self-driving car or a teleport's invented, that'd be great. That would be me. I would happily never drive again. So I hope something has resonated with you if you also struggle with this, or maybe it's giving you insight into someone you know that has this problem. So feel free to share your thoughts and any experiences you have in the comments. I'm going to be making lots more videos about different things that my autism has affected. I wouldn't actually mention it too much, but hopefully it was obvious from the context, like how, yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.